A warm welcome for Britt. Britt.
Well, thank you so much for joining, especially those who went out late in karaoke. I know you all came just to hear this riveting presentation about search data. Get started. That being said, I wanted to start the presentation with some, apologies, with some fun trivia. Sorry, I'm taller than we thought. Okay, there we go. Hearing your voice in a mic. Okay, that's early in the morning. Woo! All right, so we're gonna start with some fun trivia just to get the ball rolling and really showcase the power of search. And we did some of these we go into agencies, we go into brands, and we bring trivia questions to really show the power of what search can do for a brand and understand, what it's truly unveiling. So the first one is parents is obviously the people who are searching the most around Legos. But what other audiences are we seeing search around Legos? Any answers from the audience? Any guesses? The answer is gamers. We saw a 2.57 indexing for gamings, and this is just a great example of using new audiences based on people searching around Legos for your targeting strategies. The second one is going to be around insurance, hot topic. But yeah, based on all the searching in the networks, which of these brands do we see the highest search, share of search, I should say? The answer is B, State Farm, coming in at 32% of share of search. So again, just interesting little tidbits. And lastly, I just wanted to bring up a little March Madness for some fun. But obviously, we know sports enthusiasts are interested in March Madness. But what's something else really, or other type of audiences that are searching for this? Any guesses? Musicians, which I thought was a really fun one. And really, at the end of the day, all of this is coming from the power of search intelligence, which is what Captify is bringing to the table. I'm sure you're all like, Britt, you're at the wrong conference. This is about video and TV. Why are you talking about search to me right now? And that's really based on how Captify is collecting, categorizing, and analyzing search to power television and video. And at the end of the day, search is the truest representation of consumer intent. All my notes are no longer here, so we're just gonna wing it, don't worry. But really what we want to talk about is you're not lying to your search bar here, right? Search isn't aspirational, it's explicit. And that's really, really important. Because all these things in green, right, this lovely lady, she could be doing all of those things, and that's great. But what her search and behavior is telling us are really interesting things about her that you may not have known. I always like to think, in this example, we see someone who has bought diapers. That's really, really great. But, understanding all the searches before maybe that purchase was made, life cycles, understanding she was pregnant, now she's a new mom, all of the things are revolving around that search is really, really what's important and what we're bringing to the table to target and find this lovely lady on the screen. Maybe we'll call her Britt, I don't know. So how is Captify doing this and why is this unique of what we're doing? We are the largest holder of on-site search. So away from your SEMs, away from your Googles, your Bings, what we're doing is collecting on-site search. So we have server-to-server integrations in that little white search bar. And what we're doing is we're collecting all of that search directly from those publishers. And that's really, really interesting because you can very easily do a quick search in Google, but you're gonna put more information once you get to that kayak. I can be like, trip to Paris. Once I get to kayak, I'm gonna understand, am I searching around a family of 4? Am I going on a girls trip, trying to get after it? What am I doing? And that really shows the power of the actual on-site search, and we are the largest collectors of that on-site search. So we collect all this search, cool. But what we're doing with it is truly understanding households and consumers' connected search behaviors, right? And this is where it really differentiates from retargeting, right? I was talking to Paloma from Media Post about Chanel and looking at perfumes. Just because I searched for Chance Chanel perfume once does not mean that I am in market to buy that perfume, right? We're talking about her mother, she wears it, great. What is important to me are, where am I going? What else am I searching for? Going across all of these websites and understanding multiple attributes about my search behavior understands, am I in market for perfume or am I not? Was I just looking up once? And not all searches are created equally. And we're looking at user scoring and frequency and recency to understand the power of each search and those certain seed words. The other thing we're doing, because again, having all this search is great, but you want to make it actionable, right? What we are doing is truly understanding those search connections and also looking at the context of the search, right? So if I search for Malibu and John searches for Malibu, great, but what Malibu are we talking about? Based on my other searches around parties, recipes, drinking, all those things, I'm looking for Malibu rum, where maybe John is searching around new places for conferences, California, beautiful scenic areas. He might be looking for Malibu, California. So that's what we're able to do and derive from the context of each seed word and search. And what we're doing with all this, right, and why it's so relevant, is we're then making real-time audience profiles from these search behaviors. So we know that, John is a travel, maybe going on a trip, where I am looking for a recipe. I should be served the Malibu ad, Malibu rum ad, I should say, based on my party habits and the recipes I'm making, where he should be served, maybe that American Airlines flight ad based on him going to California. And again, beyond the audiences themselves, what we're doing and what we saw with some of that trivia is the power of what insights brings to the table by looking at our search network. So within the search network, we're able to understand intuitive and unintuitive audiences based on these search behaviors, which is really, really interesting. Going back to, I always like to use the example of a fashionista. Is that fashionista someone that shops at Saks, or are they shopping at TJ Maxx? How do we define that? And what we do is really based on these insights to create real-time audiences. Another example is, I always think of, a sports enthusiast. I searched a bunch for the Super Bowl, but I am not, candidly, a sports enthusiast. I was looking for Taylor Swift. And based on how Captify is deeming my searches, I'm clearly a Swiftie, secretly a Cardi B fan too. I am not trying to understand, the Super Bowl and I'm now then interested in March Madness, right? That's how Captify is defining that search and making it really powerful based on all those rich insights that come from search intelligence, we call it here. And really, it's been the missing piece in TV, right? Intent data has been missing. And this is really, really interesting because Captify started as a digital company, and we've been always using this data, search, you think of retargeting, you think of display, lower funnel, but when we think of the power and analyzing all those search and how we're creating real-time audiences that update every 5 minutes and looking at those search behaviors, we then are able to bring that to the biggest screen in the house. And that's really, really important. And we actually went into the TV game due to demand by agencies saying, how can we get this to TV? We really need this. We've been missing it. We need to complement purchase data. We need to find net new consumers who are interested, that want to buy a product prior to taking action. And that's truly what we're bringing to the table with this data set. And so to answer all that question, what does search have to do with TV? It's receptive, it's in market, it's deterministic in that real-time nature. We're understanding you're truly interested in it, right? It's not, I once bought something, I once shopped for something. This is truly finding that net new audience on that deterministic house outs. And then again, those non-intuitive audiences are really, really important when we think about scale, right? Some of those insights we learned, maybe for March Madness, that's an example, and we'll run through one, where we can now look at musicians. We're seeing musicians over-indexed by 3%. That's a new audience we can add to the table and make it really seamless for agencies and advertisers to add, those new audiences, if you will. So I'm going to give a little example of how search intelligence can help, a brand or client in TV. I actually changed this entirely based on talking about so much dogs and pets, and I have a pet that I miss, but I feel like at a dinner we were talking a lot about pet brands and just all of our animals, so I wanted to make this relevant to this and use that kind of as an example. So Captify was able, we were working at for a pet tick brand, if you will, and we were looking to find net new audiences because what they were using was data of people who had only purchased said brand, flick and tea. They were looking at chewables as well as, different types of the way to ingest said pet medicine. But we were able to unveil that homeowners and new parents were searching for the chewable kind, where DIY enthusiasts and outdoor enthusiasts were searching around more about general health pet, and this was really, really interesting to us. What we then were able to do was look at all the competitors around the flea brand, for different pet flea brands. Do you think I know how to speak better to this, knowing that my dog uses these brands all the times? Don't tell Augie that I'm shaming her. I promise I give her the medicine. But what we're able to do is actually look at all of that and then understand how these audiences were indexing. And if you see here, they're indexing quite high across each one of these. And we're able to really recommend these are the audience you should be using that you probably didn't think of using based on how people are searching and the different behaviors. What we then were able to do was truly bring to the table and create an audience recommendation around the chewable and the topicals. That's what I was looking for, the word topicals. That's what I could not figure out. The chewables versus the topicals, and truly give these new audience profiles to a client to add to their strategy in TV, new parent, new home, beauty, which is really interesting, right? It's not just pet owners. We want to make sure we're finding everyone. People searching on that. We're also searching around these others, and that's based on the connected search behaviors. And with a topical audience, we were looking at new home, new parent, and we were able to build a robust strategy that resulted in a great reach, great results, brand lift study, and Captify has its own search lift study that we'll talk a little bit about. And at the end of the day, we're bringing these audiences to the TV, the biggest screen in the house. There's really nothing more personal than your search data, and there's nothing more personal than watching TV in your living room. And we're really mixing that together, right? Am I a pet mom or am I a human mom? I guess that's the word, human mom. What kind of ad do we get? The diaper ad that we used before or the pet poo ad? And that's really, really important. And what, at the end of the day, what me and my team is bringing to the table is merging that data and making search relevant for TV. And using those real-time audiences, which I think is really, really important. So no matter how you buy, how you activate, what we're doing is bringing this data really easily to any of your TV buys. And at the end of the day, it works, right? Whether we're measured by a brand study, we had the highest results for an on-site action report, and then Captify has its own consumer search uplift report where we're able to track search uplift once we've seen that. And that's really, really important here because obviously you're not searching in a TV environment. So with this targeting, we're bringing search to TV, and then recently we were like, wait a minute, let's close the loop and bring TV back to search to understand how people are searching after that. So what we're able to provide now from a measurement standpoint, and I really like to think of this as a nice to have, right? We're not here to change your KPI or your goal, but really important to understand, again, once someone's been exposed to that TV ad, I should say, what is the uplift in search? Are people searching more for that? Additionally, what kinds of things are people searching for? So if you're Nike, are people searching for price? Are they searching for comfort? Are they searching for eco-friendly materials? That's all things that we customize with our clients to give back. Additionally, we did a campaign for a cooler brand. They had a huge sustainability message. So how much are people searching around sustainability once they've seen that campaign? And we're able to report back on that and give recommendations. This last one is also really interesting. Some people say it's their favorite. I am not partial to one. But the Net Searcher Sentiment Report. Once we've seen this TV ad, are people searching positively about it? How much more positively? How are people responding to your brand and your ad itself? And this is really, really interesting, again, post-campaign. And again, really tying that loop from search to TV, back to search, to really show the power and nature of what search can bring to your table when you are not thinking about it in that keyword in that lower funnel way, but really using search to find the right person at the right time based on what they're interested in, and then measuring that back from search. And that is what Captify is doing for you guys in TV space. And I will leave it there. Thanks so much. And everyone who saw me write all of my notes, I clearly used none of them at the pool yesterday, so could have had more fun.
Big round of applause for Britt. Britt, thank you so much.